that. We are going to go whenever you're ready.
Ready whenever you are.
All right. Let's go 3, 2, 1. All right, what's up, everybody? This is the second episode of the Beautiful Barbarians podcast. I am Chad, and I'm here with my man Yogi, and we are going to get into today what makes a strong man and what makes a weak man, and then some culturally relevant stuff. So, strap in, I guess, because it's going to be a male-heavy episode, but it's always a male-heavy episode because you have two white, straight men talking to you about men's mental health. So, if you're looking for diversity, probably not the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like that was a little bit of a redundant call out.
I just think that there is a huge vacuum now for straight, white men to give advice to everybody else in the world. I don't think there's precedent for it. I think that it is sorely underrepresented. I think that there should be more of it, especially
just never been heard from.
No, we're a marginalized segment of the population. I don't think anybody really knows our views as straight white men. I definitely think we should be explaining all this stuff to women, whether they ask or not.
I think it'd be super helpful if we had a term for that. We can call it guy-splaining or, male-splaining.
How about testicular education?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Testosterone.
We just have to make sure our knees are spread as far apart as possible to get up all of the benches so everyone pays attention.
Well, it's hard to pay attention when you're sitting. You have to be standing. That way you're paying attention to what the people are saying. You're not locking your knees. You're not passing out. If you're sitting in a relaxed position, you're never going to pay attention. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Especially pregnant women. They should always stand.
I mean, you really.
So thanks for listening to the second episode of the Beautiful
I think
Barbarians podcast. We'll see you later. Anyway, that was all for humor. Whether you laughed or not, it was still for humor. We didn't say we were good at it. So, I want to start with a term that gets thrown around a lot that I honestly couldn't define until I had to go and look it up, is toxic masculinity. It's something that's been thrown around a ton in the past, what did you say, decade?
I mean, I couldn't give you an era kickoff point, but I would say definitely
it's a new term.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, it's a newer term in the, I guess, common vernacular. I was looking into it, and it's been around since the 90s.
Has it really?
Yeah. I'm going to F this up. The mythopoetic men's movement. Do you remember?
You did a whole lot more research.
Yeah, bro. I went down a rabbit hole.
Right.
Do you remember in the, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s when dudes were going out in the middle of the woods and doing like sweat lodges and scream therapy and drum circles and crying?
I try to tell myself that that's not a real thing.
Oh, it's a total real thing. It came from this mythopoetic men's movement that said that men have become confined by the modern age into this certain, I guess, role, and it's become, and they use the term toxic masculinity, and a departure from deep or real masculinity where men are emotionally connected and bonded with other men and can kind of relate to them on a deeper level, not so much see them as opponents or competitors, but see them as brothers, and that they can be emotionally open to those people. There's also a big chunk of it on how feminism has ruined men and feminized men. I don't agree with all of it, but that's where I noticed when I was looking into this the first use of toxic masculinity came in an academic setting with this mythopoetic men's movement. So, me looking into it.
So what is mythopoetic?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the origin of the term.
Okay.
But it comes from a lot of Carl Jung philosophy. Shepard, the guy, Professor Shepard Bliss, wrote like the book on it. There was another dude. I forget the other dude's name. He wrote this book called Iron John, and it was about primal male, the primal deep male.
Okay. You talking about the Liver King?
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Totally natural. Just beef organs and push-ups. If you don't know what we're talking about, go on Instagram, type in Liver King.
He's just the epitome of what every male should be, I think. He's just,
Hey, I'll tell you this. I took his beef liver supplement, and I almost had to block him on email because he was giving me like emails every week on what I thought of his product, which I appreciate from a customer standpoint. But then like once I was good on it, I'm like, you don't have to keep emailing me, bro. It's cool. Like, I really like your desiccated beef liver. Thanks. So good product. Wild dude. So the mythopoetic movement came out of the 90s and basically said that men have become disconnected from their true masculinity. A number of factors to it, one of which being the removal of the father from the house. So in tribal society, your father is there unless he's out hunting and providing, right? And then he comes back. And then he spends the time with the tribal family unit until they have to go out and hunt again. So there was a lot more time with the father spent in the family unit with the mother and children, whether they be male or female, as opposed to nowadays where the father leaves the house, leaves the family unit, goes and works from anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day, then comes home at night as everything's winding down. A little bit of interaction, but then it's bedtime and then it repeats again. Then obviously they went into like the whole feminine movement and how they believe that in some cases the feminization of men has led to toxic masculinity of just aggression, competitiveness, normalization of marginalizing weaker sections of society.
Marginalizing weaker sections of society?
Yeah, that's probably nothing. Not marginalizing. Exploiting. That's what I was looking for. Exploiting. Misogyny, homophobia, racism.
Exploiting those things.
Well,
or those things are the exploiters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So like through means of misogyny, homophobia, and racism, exploiting to get ahead of any means necessary. The kind of any means necessary, as them rallying against the feminist movement as they see to feminize men, which I think shows a deeper underlying issue. That if somebody attacks you, your manliness, you now have to go hyper the other way and be super defensive and super aggressive.
I don't think that's a new thing. I think we just kind of
right, but they're talking about this from the Industrial Revolution forward.
Okay.
Not just like a 93 Kurt Cobain died, now men are pissed. You know what I mean? Like they're talking about like from the 20s forward, or the 1800s forward. So that was a very long and roundabout way, and if you're still awake, cool. If not, you can wake up now. I'm getting off my
I should have gotten a
soapbox.
cup of coffee for this. This is,
Jesus
all
Christ.
right, I'm not
This is
talking
what you're going to
anymore,
get when I
yeah.
do research, bro. I
all
go
right.
down
I'm gonna,
holes.
you know what? I'm gonna step on my Ritalin game.
So tell you what, I want you, as someone who didn't spend all night stoned out of their gourd looking this stuff up, tell me what you would consider toxic masculinity. I want to hear your definition of it.
I don't think at the core there's a marginal difference. I think
At the core of what?
Are like toxic masculinity. Like I don't think
There's no major difference between toxic masculinity and what?
At the core of the discussion, I don't think my position is going to waver too differently from yours. I think...
I haven't told you my position yet. I just told you what I found on the interwebs.
Okay.
And how I interpreted it.
I'm going to do my best to digest everything that you threw at me in the last 30 seconds.
See, you don't have to digest it. We can just go back and listen to this over and over again.
Okay.
You can digest it then. I want your as another podcast I listen to says, I want your feelings, no facts. Shoot from the hip.
Okay.
Toxic masculinity, 1, 2, 3, go.
So toxic masculinity, I think a major factor in that is that we've genderized masculinity and femininity, and it's really not a man or a woman thing. It's the roles, and we've totally taken certain things out of we've built up the masculinity ideal without actually supporting what masculinity was. It was that's tribal mentality. It was being strong. It was being self-sufficient. Like, and call back to our last podcast, it was being resilient. And I think toxic masculinity has become, or is a performance of actual masculinity. It's not actual masculinity. It has to look like this one thing. Painting a mural without it actually being what it is. So you get this very aggressive, misogynistic, overtly patriarchal performance that is not actual masculinity. Where masculinity is you support your community. Whether it's you and a partner, you and a friend, you and a small family, you and an actual community, you support. You're an integral part of that. Whether you are the leader or you go into it democratically, you are connected to it fundamentally. I think toxic masculinity is I'm just going to look out for number one. I need everyone to know that I can do this on my own. And if I can't do it on my own and I need someone, I'm going to make them think that they're doing me a favor. It's kind of perverting help. It's perverting support. It becomes self-centered. It becomes very I don't even know. I think I know what you're trying to say. I'm going to see if this is right. It's a performative version of masculinity without any of the social considerations or support. Yes.
It has,
and I think
it has the trappings of masculinity, but it has no depth to it.
Yep, and I think to emphasize performative is important.
It's a little dog barking as loudly as possible to let everybody know that there's a dog here and I'm barking as loudly as possible.
Yes.
I dig that.
Yeah.
I 100% dig that. One of the things I didn't like as I got deeper into it was how it's been, because I agree with that completely, and I agree with what the academics who originally coined the term said. What I don't agree with is how now anything remotely male has been termed toxic masculinity from those who don't understand it or agree with it. So, for instance, coming from a powerlifting strongman background and now getting back into jiu-jitsu, those have all, I've seen people online and I've seen articles written in like, oh God, I saw a whole bunch of bullshit from The Guardian and the Daily Mail, like, that all like gym culture is rape culture, like, and I don't even know what that stuff is, but it just is just so negatively, it just drifts with such a negative connotation. I mean, you associate anything with rape, it's going to immediately get a negative connotation, where I don't think that gym culture or martial arts or anything like that is somehow a toxic activity.
I think there's a conflation between what is called a culture and what the thing itself is. I don't think being in the gym, doing gym things, I don't think being in jiu-jitsu, hanging out with the jiu-jitsu homies, doing jiu-jitsu, I don't think those are what's being talked about. I think what's being referred to is the loudest person in the room is also often assumed to
I'm
be...
going to wrist lock the shit out of you if you hit this table one more time.
You won't let me use my fidget toys.
Bro, I don't think it's appropriate for you to have a giant vibrating fist to help you focus. I think it's inappropriate to come over to my house with a giant vibrating fist. That's all I'm saying. Fidget spinner, fine.
The whirring sound, the vibrating sound is very calming.
I understand that. I have a small child. I put the noise machine on. It's white noise. I get it. But I just don't think it should come from a giant adult sex toy.
You know what? I will stop raiding your closet. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I realize that's what this is about.
It's all about boundaries.
But, you know, it's the loudest person in the room. But like,
no,
as people, we often assume that the loudest person in the room is the one that's calling the shots. And, you know, if you take that and create an analogy to, sorry for touching the table, and we make a comparison to like gym culture, or, you know, I haven't heard it super much, but yeah, no, I guess I have heard about martial art culture.
I mean, you heard about, I mean, there was a slew of sexual assault allegations that came out, God, in the past 6 to 8 months from like a bunch of jiu-jitsu schools.
Right. So I think that's it. Like, do I think the majority of any athlete culture are committing these things? No, not a shot. Do I know a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys that have no problem with training with other dudes that have these allegations against them that probably actually did it? That some we know that actually are shitty dudes.
We do?
Yeah.
You know them?
Yeah. I mean, it's
right,
it's not shy.
Off record, you need to tell me that, because
yeah,
I don't play that shit.
No, and it's thankfully, to my knowledge, it's not in our gym.
Yeah.
Our gym has a really good, you know, there's some people I'm not super fond of, but
that's
overall,
everywhere.
Yeah, but overall, I think our
gym is Brian Beery Jiu-Jitsu in Waterville, New York. If you're in the upstate New York area, please go check them out. Brian is awesome.
Yeah, all we ever do is win. So, you know, I think that's a legitimate statement, actually.
Well, we also we're going to get in a jiu-jitsu tangent here. Our gym is one of the things I'm so impressed with is the environment that Brian has fostered there.
Yeah.
It's strictly, you come in and this is all about jiu-jitsu. Anything else not related to what's on the schedule is you know,
right.
That's for the parking lot and beers after if you want to do them. It's not.
And he has kicked people out for being scumbags, and he has made people that want to come back really prove that they're going to atone for what they did, and it has really nixed a lot of problems.
That's awesome.
But, you know, I think what the term rape culture seeks to define, although a lot of people do it poorly, is it's not saying that it is I'm not going to comment one way or another on percentages or anything, but I think it's referring to how a lot of men don't either believe victims, or they won't call out their friends or their boys or whoever on what they've done. There's shitty dudes in the gym, there's shitty dudes in different martial arts schools that do shitty things. That's why women will go for a week. I've known female jujitieros that were like...
female what?
Jujitieros. Jiu-jitsu people.
I get it. That was just like such
this
a
one girl I was
suave
hanging out with for a hot
statement.
second. She was like, I won't go to certain classes because the last time I enrolled with this dude, he had a hard-on the entire time. And
Are you sure she wasn't mistaking it for a cup?
I think she was not mistaking it for a cup.
Okay. I'm not doubting
And
her
it was
story.
not the first time I've heard these things.
But here's the thing. How the fuck do you roll the hard on? That's got to be so difficult.
Well, how do you... I can't...
No, I want you... How do you what? I want you to finish that question.
I think
That's just...
when sex is not about sex and it's about power, a lot of things go wrong.
Oh, I was just talking about the physical, actual movement.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
I feel like it just get in the way.
Probably, yeah. But if you're just there to do jujitsu, I don't think you would be able to do that.
No.
But I think if you see a female or a woman or whomever, and you like, that's what you're thinking about. But I think that's what is people are seeking to address.
I want to interject real quick. I take umbrage with the term rape culture because it I feel like on the surface it infers that there is nothing being done about it, so it has to be brought to light. Like, I feel that the people who throw around... First off, I think the term rape has been bastardized horribly by social justice. I think any negative interaction between a man and a woman instigated by the man is now considered rape. That's asinine.
See, I think this is where...
Well, hold on. Let me get back to my other point with articles like that, is where they talk about rape culture and A, B, and C. They act like I can't talk about everywhere and everyone. I can talk about the gyms I've been to, and I can talk about the jiu-jitsu schools I've been to. I can only talk about my experience. In my experience, at the gym I used to go to, the owner there didn't brook any of that shit. If you were creeping, he even kicked dudes out for creeping on girls on Instagram. So guys would come in, and the girls would complain, like, hey, I just joined your gym, and now I've got this one dude who hits me up, like trying to slide in my DMs, talking about watching me work out. This wasn't even at the gym. This is on social media. And the gym would find the guy and be like, you're out, dude. You can't come back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you scare off my female clients because you want to go be a creep online. So, and then at Brian's, he doesn't brook bullshit. He doesn't brook bullying. He doesn't brook harassment. None of it. He won't stand for it. He sees you doing it, he'll kick you out.
Right.
Right then and there. Just puts a stop to it immediately. And I feel like the people who write these quote-unquote rape culture articles are just saying, well, there's no policing being done, so I have to police it. And on top of that, they're talking about, what, 1% of a total population?
I'm not... So I think it's...
Maybe, and you know what? Look, man, maybe I have rose-colored
generalization
glasses
on both
because I don't
sides.
see it. But then again, I don't also associate with people that do that stuff. If I know you've done some fuck shit towards a female,
But
I
that's
got a
anecdotal.
daughter, bro. I'm either cutting you off or stomping you out.
Right.
And it's your
But
choice.
that's anecdotal. That's your individual perspective.
Right. But I can only speak from my perspective. I
Right.
just don't know if I would like some acknowledgement that there are cultural policing mechanisms in place, that good men still go and attempt to put an end to bullshit when they see it. Because I know
that we
I
need
would.
that acknowledgement. I think we just do what the right thing is, and we leave it at that. And
I understand that, but then you have these.
If it doesn't apply, let it fly.
Yes, but this is how you get such skewed visions. Like, take for instance the current dumpster fire we're in the country nowadays.
Yeah.
If you go and you went by just social media, depending on who you follow and what you're surrounding yourself with,
Okay.
or the news, you would think we were on the verge of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Would you not?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that every man's a rapist, every
I think we're on very different social media circles.
I also
think that different circles are presenting other circles in less than accurate lights.
Right. You'd think that men are rapists.
That's not what I see.
You'd think that anybody who voted for a Democrat was some castrated male, who's just kowtowing to any of his wife's demands.
So I think this is fascinating because
I'm saying that it just shows the negative.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, but I think that's.
But you're a intelligent, thoughtful, well-educated, well-rounded man.
Okay.
You don't run in circles of stupid people. I don't run in circles of stupid people. Do I have friends that are stupid people? Absolutely. I don't surround myself with them. But I think the problem is that a lot of middle-of-the-road, mediocre people, especially younger, impressionable ones, see all the bullshit coming at them day in, day out.
Okay.
And think that we're on the verge of
total
annihilation.
What are we addressing here? Because I feel like we're addressing multiple points simultaneously, and I'm not sure I'm.
Yeah. No, like I said, right down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that the articles I see talking about toxic masculinity make it seem like this is everyone, not a small segment. And that's one of the things I take umbrage with. Like, I acknowledge that there is a percentage out there that are fucked.
Right.
And treat women like pieces of meat and treat other people like I can either use you or I don't even need you, or I don't even acknowledge you as an individual or human being. You know what I mean? But I do not think that's the majority. And I take offense when those kind of articles are written to make it seem like it's the majority. Like, to make it seem like if you go in a gym and you're an attractive female, you're going to get eye raped, or you're going to get assaulted, or you're going to have sexual microaggressions directed at you. It's not everybody. It's not a large percent. It's a minority.
I don't think that's. So I think there's a couple things to address with that, because I think when people present.
Hold on. Let me say one thing.
All right. You can have one more thing.
One more thing. I do not think a woman should have to go anywhere and be uncomfortable.
Right.
At all.
Right.
I wouldn't want my daughter to walk into a gym and immediately be uncomfortable because she feels like she's getting ogled.
Okay.
I believe that man or woman, you should be able to go anywhere and not fear for your life, your safety, or you shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
But you are going to feel uncomfortable in some spots.
Right.
I just wanted to add that caveat.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate
now
that
you talk.
caveat. But All right, so there's like I gotta organize my thoughts for a hot second because we kind of touched on a lot of things all at once. Um, I don't think anyone is saying, at least from, I don't know what articles you're seeing or what circles are being presented from, but I don't see anyone saying that this happens all the time in every instance by every person to every person. What I'm seeing is every woman or every feminine presenting person has dealt with this at least once.
What is a feminine presenting person?
I'm coming from the perspective of however many genders we want to address. So, I mean, this happens with feminine men. It happens with non-feminine men.
I was just asking my own clarification because
Yeah,
I've never heard that term.
and, especially when you include like the trans community, like
Okay,
so harassment
I got it.
has happened
Got it.
to a significant amount of these people, this population, that population, at least once. And it's one for every
Can I
person.
just see your wrist real quick?
You're gonna slap my wrist. Fuck off. You know what? You got to give me something to
Okay.
move through my hands with.
The only reason I ask you not to do it on the table is because it echoes back in the recording over and over again.
Well, you know what? You have two people with ADHD, and we're gonna have to have some like.
I agree. Can you tap your knees? Can you do like some ham bone shit? I don't know.
Some what?
Ham bone. Ham bone.
Ham bone?
Ham bone? That's with the dudes who slap their knees, the
Oh,
spoon man.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. When you account for the fact that most people in these communities have had this happen at least once, when all of them speak on it, and not all of them are speaking on it, it's a lot of people are still not speaking about it, not admitting it to themselves or others, but the amount of people that are acknowledging it and speaking out about it is increasing. One, that's a new trend, and new trends always get blown up, which I think in this case is not a bad thing. But when you have this many cases suddenly being reported, and the culture of reporting has been dominated by men, one way or another, it's going to be either presented or interpreted as this is happening all the time to everyone by everyone. And that's not what the people who are having it done to them are saying. They're saying that this happens, it should never have happened, and when I have spoken up about it, people have either not believed me, made excuses for the other person, or told me to get over it. And when that goes in line with the point of this episode of toxic masculinity, why are we not giving a shit about these other people's experience? A true masculine person, a healthy masculine person, is communal. They want to take care of the community. They want to build up their community. They don't pity people, they empathize with people. They build other people up. And I think what the term rape culture, however you good or bad of the term that is, the goal of it, or at least the original goal of it, was to address the fact that not only are these instances happening, I want you to know that I intentionally did not touch the table this time.
I'm very proud of you.
It's not only to address that these things are happening, but the culture, it's rape culture isn't everyone's raping. Rape culture is rape happens, sexual assault happens, sexual harassment happens, misogyny happens, and the people that should be counted on as support, as backup, as empathetic, are not fulfilling their roles. I think that's the point of what rape culture intends to be. However, it has been perverted by whatever groups we want to address.
Okay. I can dig that. I can absolutely dig that. I think my confusion on it came from I think your point was spot on there with it being a relatively new thing, and the amount of incidences coming out seem like it's overwhelmingly happening. And the sudden increase, especially to the younger generation, is going to skew the view that it's happening to everybody every day. And I don't think it is, but I think it is happening. I feel like the term rape, when not in reference to the act, and we could get into the definition of the act. I think that the act is a broad set of actions. It's not just simple, we all know what it is. But I think it's a broad thing. I think there's many different versions of it, but I think to label something rape culture is sensationalist. But I understand it also brings light to it.
If you have, for eons, you have not been believed. You have not had a voice. You have not had anyone give a shit about what's happening to you. And you find a word that people pay attention to.
No, it's a fair point.
If you need to sensationalize it to get attention, to address an issue, I really can't fault a community for doing what they need to ensure their survival.
No, that's completely fair.
Unfortunately, the drawback to that is things get mislabeled.
I agree.
And I am not validating anything.
No, I understand.
I can see the point.
I can too. But using an extreme is also going to give you extreme pushback from people who don't agree with it. It's a pendulum.
But that's what conflict does.
Right.
Conflict gets results.
I wish this one got results faster.
I think,
and I mean clearing up the misogyny and the bullshit that weak men.
I think we've had more clearing up in the past 2 decades.
Right, but I'd like it to happen quicker because my daughter's 3.5, and it needs to be cleared up by the time she's 13. Otherwise, I'm going to be catching a lot of assault charges, bro.
Yeah.
If my daughter comes home and goes, somebody looked at me weird and then slid in my DMs, little Timmy down the block is catching these hands. For humor, guys, for humor, I'm only going to beat up a 13-year-old because it's funny.
Fair. But I don't think it should have to do with, you are a good dad. Shouldn't have to do with your kids.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
It's amazing that you're motivated to protect and provide and build up your kid, but it should never have been there.
I have not.
Well, no, I'm saying not you. I'm saying the potential threat should never have been there.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
we should have nipped that in the bud eons ago.
Agreed.
And if we're going to label things so dramatically, but it'll get results, I can't say I have an issue with it.
Okay. You know what? I agree with you. And my original concept of that term, I now have a better understanding of it. So I agree with you. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I see where they're coming from. And I appreciate that description and you explaining that to me. I have another avenue to go down that I'd like to discuss, but I think that can be a whole episode to itself. So I'm just going to say this quickly, and then we're going to get back to just toxic masculinity. I think some of this stuff, the creation of weak men and exploitative men, comes from a decreased, strong definition.
Soy in the water.
Huh?
Soy in the water.
Soy in the water?
Yeah, we're all losing testosterone.
No, bro. It's the fluoride in the water. It's turning the frogs gay. Don't you listen to Alex Jones?
Is he still alive?
Yeah, gay frogs, bro.
Wow.
Everywhere.
Right. No one's off them yet. Okay.
No, bro, he's hilarious. Have you listened to him lately?
Does he know that? Does he? I can't tell if he's
he does now.
A bit or not.
Yeah, he does now. Oh, it's not a bit.
Okay.
But he's fucking hysterical.
The only thing about
if you listen to him from like the perspective of like, oh, this is comedy, this is all silly and absurd, it is a riot.
All I know from him at this point, I've had the misfortune of listening to him once or twice, but at this point, the only thing I know about him are the insane memes and audio spoofs of him, and they're brilliant.
Yeah. No, he is an entire ecosystem of comedy unto himself. Anyway, please don't take us off Spotify or YouTube or any of the other ones for mentioning Alex Jones. And that
there's bigger fish to fry than
right.
two bald bearded dudes
Right.
bitching about shit.
You know, I'm not talking about his wacky stuff about school shootings. I'm talking about the stuff that has come out of his mouth in the past 6 months on other podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I don't listen to InfoWars. Sandy Hook happened.
Yeah.
That's what we believe on Beautiful Barbarians.
Yeah.
They were not crisis actors, guys.
Mole men are real. I will give.
Oh, mole men and lizard people are totally real.
100%.
Dude, go to Lansingburg.
Yeah. No, I'm on the border. I know.
For anybody listening, that's a
beautiful.
Yeah, it's in upstate New York.
Well-built,
Yeah, no, it's great.
considerate city.
Yeah, Corliss Park is a fucking national heritage site. So let's bring. Fuck, we took hard turns on this one, huh? The lack of well-defined and clearly described gender roles, I think, has led to a confusion of what a man should be and what a woman should be. And I don't mean barefoot in the kitchen, and I don't mean out in a loincloth with a spear.
Okay.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's going to be a whole episode to itself.
Okay.
That's all. So that being said, back to strong men and weak men. Thanks for sticking in this wild ride.
Oh yeah, we had a point of this. Yeah. Okay.
Fuck if I can remember what it is. But
I'm glad we have 2 pages of research articles to support what we've been talking about.
Okay, so actually here, we're gonna bring it all the way back to the toxic masculinity and mythopoetic men's movement. So this is what they talk about for like the loss of deep masculinity. Men no longer being comrades who celebrate their masculinity together. Rather, they had become competitors within their workplace. Men spending more time in their houses with women than they did with men in non-competitive terms outside of work. That comes from leaving the house, going to work, and then the only real social interaction you have at the end of the day is your wife and kids.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You're not really getting time out with the quote-unquote boys.
Okay.
Excessive interactions with women generally kept men from realizing their internal masculinity. This is their beliefs, not mine. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just outlining. Feminism, bringing attention to the feminine voice. Through this, the mythopoetic men felt that their voices had been muted. That's complete bullshit. It's like saying that's spitting in the ocean, man. Come on. The separation of men from their fathers kept them from being truly initiated in manhood and was a source of emotional damage. Men going to work, men leaving the home, men leaving the community, men leaving the tribe. That type of thing. And then I'm sure they also can include deadbeat dads in that. You know, maybe the breakdown of the nuclear family.
Mm-hmm.
Men were suffering further emotional damage due to feminist accusations about sexism. Men should celebrate their differences from women rather than feeling guilty about them. I agree with the second sentence. I think the first sentence is complete bullshit.
I think a big.
Hold on, I got one more. Men being discouraged. Oh, this one I completely agree with. Men being discouraged from expressing their emotions. Male inexpressivity is an epidemic and does not correspond to their deep masculine natures. I completely and utterly agree with that. The fact that we have told men to be strong, silent, stiff upper lip, grin and bear it is such a disservice to our mental health that's not even funny.
Yeah.
You have to be an emotional animal. You have to be able to express your emotion.
I'm going to hone in on something you just said.
Go for it.
An emotional animal. I like that actually, because when we look at humans as emotional animals, we don't have there's nothing to do with gender roles and there's nothing to do with sex. We've built up, and now look, I am autistic. I love classifications. They are so helpful for me to understand the world. Some classifications do more harm than good. We've classified gender roles to this bizarre extent that men feel like, oh, I love baking. I just brought you some double chocolate banana bread. I was stoked to make it. My students loved it. Hopefully you love it. I'm gonna be really hurt if you did. I'm gonna go cry in a pillow if you don't. But I brought one of the first days we started training together. I brought you a cupcake, a couple other guys on the team.
You brought me a cupcake?
Yeah, my battery. I'm no longer recording my face.
Well, I think you've got some really good points that you can cut up and put on the interwebs.
Okay.
To help the podcast.
Yeah. And then
Damn, bro, I don't remember the cupcake, and I usually remember all my cupcakes.
It had the Oreo on the bottom.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I do.
now you
Yeah,
remember. Yeah,
bro.
Homemade. I made the icing
Fire.
myself.
Fire cupcake. And if you as a man cannot appreciate another man's baked goods, I don't want to know you.
I brought him in for a couple of other guys because I brought him in for all the big dudes one night, and one or two of them were like, I could just look. They just gave me this look like, you made pink cupcakes, and it was like I could tell that they didn't know what to do with that information.
Then they don't deserve those cupcakes, and they should be given to me.
Fair enough, but that's my.
You want to give me the side eye? I bring you delicious baked goods. You want to give me a side eye? You know what? You don't get delicious baked goods now.
I neon-bellied the fuck out of them.
I would.
But the point is that I don't understand gender roles. They don't do me any favors. I don't bother adhering to them anymore. But, I present as a very archetypal male, and when I deviate from the archetypal male gender role, then people get really weirded out sometimes.
I think it comes from everybody's expectation that it needs to be super specific.
That's my point.
It needs to be broad. Everything needs to be broad.
When you're just an emotional animal, then it's not specific.
Right. But there can be defining umbrellas. Not so much defining points, but defining umbrellas.
Yeah.
A man should be strong. A man should be sensitive. A man should be emotionally comfortable. A man should be competitive. A man should be aggressive. A man should be a provider. All those things are broad. And what happens is people focus on the negative aspects of those broad definitions. If somebody says a man should be aggressive, they immediately think that, they think of this guy who just doesn't take no for an answer, who in any aspect of his life, which causes harm, you know what I mean? But
I think we're conflating aggressive with assertive.
I think it all falls under the umbrella, because I think I can be aggressive when I'm motivated. I'm attacked. I don't have the Webster's dictionary.
But I think aggressive would fall under assertiveness.
Okay, all right.
I think if you are assertive, and I think it's not a man. I think these are
maybe even go higher and say motivated.
Yeah, and I think these are masculine traits that anyone can embody, and we're still labeling it under gender, which is counterproductive, because then we fall into this trope of, well, someone doesn't meet the stereotypical gender outward presentation, but now they're doing these quote unquote man things, and now we have another, hiccup in understanding identity. If it's just masculine, if you're masculine and you're assertive, and you're masculine and you are a provider, and you're masculine and you are, what else did you say? You are compassionate, then that's fine. But when we box him into a gender, then you still fall under points.
Okay, well then give me your ideal. Tell me from what you think makes a strong man.
A strong man. So I'm not arguing the points. I'm saying that the points.
No. I want to hear what you think a strong man is. I want to hear what your definition.
That's what I'm saying. So I agree with you. I'm saying that we don't need to label them as just manly traits. I think they're masculine traits that every man should embody.
Uh-huh.
I'm just redefining it in a way that it is truly their umbrella-like terms versus points. When we say that these are things that men should embody versus these are masculine traits that, men should have, we're no longer confining what a man should be.
But what do you think a strong man is?
A strong man should be masculine and feminine. They should have masculine traits, so the ones who you've just listed, and they should have the feminine traits.
Well, I don't think compassion and emotionally available are masculine traits. I think those are just traits of a strong person.
Yeah.
But I think a man should have them.
Right.
I'm not trying to define the traits as inherently masculine. I'm just saying I think a man should have those traits. I think the traits are asexual.
Okay.
But I think a man should have them.
Right.
Compassion, emotional availability, emotional comfort. That's being comfortable displaying your emotions, whether they're positive or negative.
Yeah.
But yet again, here it's me describing what I think a man should be. What do you think a strong man should be? Putting you on the spot.
No, and I get it, and I have to really work through that because...
Good news, we got a podcast with no time limit.
Perfect.
Let's work, son.
I have a hard time understanding what being a man is. I have a hard time understanding what being a woman is, what being any gender is.
And that's because of the autism?
I think so. Okay. I think I have a really hard time because they are performative social roles that I don't inherently get. I think being a man is confusing for me.
Bro, being a person is fucking confusing.
Well, yeah. But when you split it into a dichotomy, it's either this or that, but now you have all these umbrella-like traits that really anyone should have. Like, it doesn't matter what gender or sex you are, you should have the ability to be assertive, you should have the ability to be compassionate and empathetic, you should be motivated, if you want to, create a sliding scale on each of them, I could see how a man versus a woman versus whatever other gender would have more of one versus another, but everyone should have these things.
So then it's just what makes a strong person and what makes a weak person.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's, going back to what we said last podcast, it's resiliency. Okay. I think that is the ultimate thing. And I think not having that is what makes a man weak. And what we talked about last time, where you become explosive and you can't control your anger anymore, you can't recognize your own depression or your anxiety, you are no longer resilient.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost that, and we've lost the drive to become resilient.
I agree. I also think that again, whether male or female positive traits, the traits of a strong person, you can't argue that we have done a huge disservice to the population of men.
I will not argue that whatsoever.
With this whole
no, we have totally
stigma around mental health and being comfortable emotional and being an emotional animal.
Yeah.
You can't lie. You can't disagree. I don't think anybody can disagree that there's been a huge disservice to the male population, and kind of the reason of why we see this middle generation of weaker men.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you put it that way, that I can fall in line with.
That's kind of the reason we started this podcast, is to be like, yo, I'll fuck you up. You know what I mean? But I'll go and cry too in front of everybody.
Oh yeah.
I'll go. When I'm sad, I'll cry. When I'm happy, I'll laugh. When I'm angry, I'll be angry. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem.
And I think that's what we should call resiliency.
I agree, 100%. Resiliency to any external
resiliency
stimulation. yeah, you shouldn't be ashamed. It's
Yeah.
you can't be ashamed of a natural process. Then nothing.
I don't think shame is natural. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No. Well, I don't know, because you feel embarrassed. Like even my daughter, who's now 3, she when at 1 years old, she cried because she got embarrassed, and that's so. I think it is an emotion.
I think shame is guilt, and embarrassment or shame. I think we have to think of terms of embarrassment and guilt. Um, guilt is I did something wrong. Embarrassment is, oh, I wish I didn't do that. And shame is more in line with guilt.
Okay.
Embarrassment's kind of natural.
I think embarrassment's 100% natural because neither myself or my wife taught our daughter to be embarrassed.
Right.
She was doing it at 18 months. She was learning to walk, and she'd like trip and fall and start crying, not because she was hurt, because there was some trigger in her.
She knew she had
psyche.
a goal to meet, and she wasn't meeting it.
Yeah, which is a wild thing to think about for young kids. Like, if I could remove one thing from my daughter's psyche, it would be embarrassment, because I think, but it's also an ancient survival, I guess, trait. I don't know how, but.
How can you be part of the herd if you don't understand herd mentality? If you don't understand the expectations, whether it's providing or being able to keep up? I think that's where, I'm no evolutionary psychologist, but I think that's where that would come from.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you were out in the middle of Iceland 1,000 years ago, and you guys were going from camp to camp, your 18-month-old kid would know that she would have to keep up with you.
Okay, fair. All right. Well, there it is. Iceland 1,000 years ago, that's where embarrassment came from. We figured it out, guys. God, there was a point I wanted to make, and I'll be damned if I can remember it.
That's probably my fault. I was going off.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So traits of strong people and weak people. Yeah, I agree that you don't have. It's silly to assign them genders. I agree. Strong people and weak people. That's good. But I think there are,
for people who identify as men, we've robbed them. And I think that's what you were saying.
I think men. I don't think you need to put it as identify as.
Yeah, that's just it's language that from my.
I get it. I completely get it. I completely get it. Just
so
if you're a male, what you feel inside is irrelevant. You're going to have those expectations put on you.
Yes.
And I'd love to. It would be interesting. I would love to get a male to female trans person in here, and a female to male trans person in here, and find out if they noticed either a decrease or an increase of social expectations on them about how they're now outwardly
I'll put out the
themselves.
feelers. We'll find them.
Don't go feeling up any trans people. Just ask them, please. We don't need to be them too'd. It's like me too'd, but never mind. It's fine. We're so gonna get fucking canceled. Yeah, I think that'd be interesting to see if somehow if they notice those social stigmas more, right? Because wouldn't you think that now?
I think they do.
Okay.
I
don't know. I have no experience.
I have a lot of connection with that community, and it is a lot for them.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine being stuck in a body and be like, this ain't my body.
Yeah.
Like, that's gotta super suck.
And even when they make every attempt to make that body their own,
they're still got to feel off, right?
It's got to feel. I have to imagine it feels off, at least for some of them, and then deciphering what expectations they are going to comply with.
Mm. Yeah.
But
that's got to be a mind fucking half.
I would say so.
But
I think weak men can't be compassionate towards whether it's
anyone.
Anyone.
Unless you somehow are a benefit to them.
Yeah.
Unless you are fulfilling one of their self-serving needs.
And not to be reductive, but the root word of compassionate is passionate, and I don't think weak men have that. I think weak men go through the motions, bullshit their way through life, and don't dive into anything with.
Are those sociopaths?
No, I think that's different.
Okay.
I think that's different. I think a lot of what we've groomed men to be are just complacent people that just go through the motions. That's why you find so many men without hobbies, without interests, that just go home, throw on the TV, and open a Bud Light.
I don't know any of those people.
But I think that's a lot of them. I think that's you do a good job of keeping resilient people around you. But if we're going to talk about the difference between strong men and weak men, we have to acknowledge that those men are out there.
Yeah.
That they are taught that they have to do this one role, that they have to have this, this limited emotional range, and as long as they're meeting their goals, that's all they should do, and they need to shut up and do it, and leave it alone. But you and I are the kind of men that need to be passionate about things, that need to dive headfirst and build on that. And we have a setback and we keep going.
And the other thing we do is we connect.
Yes.
We connect. And that actually brings me to the second point that I found, that there's been a breakdown of social structures available to men, or not available, because I'm in 3 different things that give me social structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And on a strictly all male base. That's my dog Max. He's the 3rd member of the podcast, and he's barking at a snowplow because he's half cane corso, half baked potato. Hey. So, one of the things I read into was how there's a decrease in male participation in extracurricular social organizations that connect men with other men.
Yeah.
I'm part of the Masons, a fraternity of people, and that supplies me with a support network. I am part of a street crew, DMS. That provides me with a all-male support network. I am part of the jiu-jitsu community around here. That provides me with a predominantly male social network. And what all 3 of those things do is they surround me with other men who are looking for that bond and connection. And that makes a stronger unit. And that basically creates a tribe.
Yeah.
And that tribe gives you social structure. And the nice thing about social structures, when you start to go sideways, it puts you back on track.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men don't have that.
If you have a good connection with 1 or 2 or however many good dudes, they will check the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And they will get you back on track.
Yeah.
Whether you're going down, a real douchebag path, or you're just, hitting a hard low, they'll be like, yo, this is not you. What do we need to do to get you back to you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's what's really funny, I'm going to speak on the part of the crew. We wash out weaker people. They don't make it.
Yeah.
They don't become initiates. They don't become full members. They get washed out. It's a long process to get into the crew I'm part of. It's a multi-year process before somebody sits there and calls you brother. It's a crucible. You have to go through it, and it's going to breed out people who are weak, people who don't share the same views, people who are exploitative. They're gonna wash out. They're not, in the end, they're not gonna be part of that group. And that's why our crew has such a long life and a successful life is because we don't allow the self-serving, the exploitative in. Is that a benefit to the people who don't make it? Probably not. It's probably a huge blow to the psyche. It's not going to make them better, but it makes me better and it makes everybody else I'm around better. And you know what? I take that back, because some of the people who have started off trying to get in and have eventually got in, watching their growth, because the expectations are clearly defined, and now they have a goal set for. It's amazing to watch someone who's kind of like a piece of shit turn into a beneficial, contributing member of the brotherhood. You know, you watch their maturation. They go from like, not feeling this dude, and then 2-3 years later it's like, yeah, I'd die for him.
Yeah.
And I know he would do the same for me, because he was given up front, hey, these are our expectations. This is the code we live by. This is what we do. This is what we expect you to do, and these are the rules we expect you to live by as well. And the ones that make it, when they start, and I can count quite a few people that I'm like, this dude ain't gonna make it, and then 2-3 years later it's like, wow, dude stepped up, and you saw his whole life change. You know, it's wild. But there are some people out there that you can't fix no matter what.
Yeah.
So you good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, that there's the one of the things that people think is a contributing factor to the inherent weakening of men is the loss of all male social networks that allow men to bond on a tribal level and not on a competitive level. What's cool about bonding with strong men on a tribal and brotherly level is it crosses over into competitive life, and it makes you a better competitive person. Nobody likes a sore loser, but you know what they hate worse than a sore loser? A sore winner. Yeah. Nobody likes a sore winner. Nobody likes a braggart. We like confidence. We don't like braggart. A sore winner just shows that you just would never give anybody a hand up.
Yeah.
A sore winner is like, yeah, you won, but your parents didn't hug you enough as a kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't want to, like, there's no reason to throw dirt in someone's face just because you're standing up.
Exactly. Like, every person whether I have won or lost at an event, I walk over and I'd share a beer with them.
You'd roll with them again.
I'd roll with them again. I'd go get a beer with them after. I'm going to go be their friend on Instagram. I'm going to go celebrate their future wins. You know what I mean? I'm going to go and, say, hey, man, better luck next time when they lose. It's not that I think the connection and the brotherhood and the bonds I have in my fraternal and male networks have made me a better, more compassionate competitor, and a better winner, and a humble winner and a better loser.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we see this sudden surge of chest beating and over celebration of achievement from people, because they don't know how to be good competitors. They don't know how to be compassionate competitors. Because they just don't know how to relate to another man on a level as a friend and brother.
I think so. Someone had. I was listening to this thing years ago about bears, and
what kind of bears?
I think I don't know, grizzlies.
Okay, not large bearded gay men.
No. I mean, I'm sure this could apply to them too. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not part of that.
I just wanted everybody to know we're all inclusive here. So
So, grizzly bears,
Okay.
there is an element of contest for survival. You know, they will have contests to make sure that their community survives over another one if there's ever a point of threat, like environmental threat. But within their group, they don't have contest. They don't compete. They have contest. So if two bears are from the same group are roughing it up and they're beating up on each other, and one knocks the other one down, it will go up to the other one and whack it on the head and then run away, so that the other one gets up and follows it, and they can keep having contest. And that's
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
And
That's a huge departure from the dominant male eating the cubs of other males so they can reproduce with the females.
yeah, but that's that they build each other up. That's
Interesting.
what they do, and they have that healthy.
I'm sure large bearded gay men do that too.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know,
I don't know about the whacking on the head and running. Well, maybe. Who knows?
well,
It's
you
probably
know,
called flirting.
depends on the subset of the scene. I'm sure. You know, as long as it's all consensual and there's
That's all that matters. That's all that matters, bro. Just get consent first. Whether you be Grizzly or San Franciscan.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You know what? That was I like that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying there's a large population of gay people in San Francisco.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think but that goes in line with what you were saying. Like, you and your brothers build each other up.
You have to. You have to.
It's all for the betterment of them and the community that you serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Communal breakdown starts with weak men.
Yeah.
I would even go so far as to say that all of society's woes start from weak men.
Yeah, especially with how we structured into this patriarchal thing where, like, we have to have a male leader and we have super weak ones.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a corpse right now.
You know,
anyway,
we've always kind of had corpses running.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And I think it's gotten a lot better. I really do. We've become much more, I guess, inclusive. I don't know. I hate that word, inclusive. It's just it's all been hijacked by social justice warriors. But I think we have become more, maybe not inclusive, but accepting of female leadership, minority leadership, which I don't really think there should be an issue with to begin with. I think if you're the best fit for the job, you're the best fit for the job. I don't care if you got two heads. If you're the best fit for it, you get it. I don't know.
But I mean, this will be another podcast. But there's so much research in the field of sexism, racism, misogyny, like homophobia, and they're all interlinked in ways that people never really paid attention to.
Sure, because they weren't really studied. This is a new and emerging
field.
It's just, I hate when I was just a new and emerging field of research and science should be apolitical.
Yeah,
and this is not, and it super sucks. But we're not a political podcast. For my political podcast. No, I ain't going down that.
That'll be a real short podcast.
Yeah. Let me hit you with this because I hear it all the time on. Actually, two things. I forget the article, but I grabbed this quick. They give me 4 qualities of a truly strong man. See if you agree. 1, you work and act responsibly. You ensure that your work you do benefits you, your family, and community, the earth and its creatures, and future generations. You do not act in a way to put the safety, health, and well-being of others at risk. You promote peace rather than violence and aggression. You work to understand others and reconcile when relationships have been broken. When you speak, your words are truthful and healing. You recognize the value of silence. You also recognize the value of speaking words of kindness and compassion. 4, you smile and laugh, especially at yourself. In addition, learning to laugh at yourself can help you maintain an appropriate sense of humility and prevent damaging comparisons to others. What do you think of that?
I think that's brilliant. I think those are 4 great things that men need to do, and we are targeting towards men because men are the only ones that fell short of those things. And maybe not only men, but
You can see it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because God knows how many dudes do we know that cannot laugh at themselves.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
How many times have you seen a dude storm off the mat because he got tapped out by someone with a lower belt than him?
Me, I've done it. I've done it. I had a bad day.
Fair enough.
Woke up on the wrong side of my steroids. You know, it happens.
Fair enough.
No, but that's the thing. I think in those cases, I don't think we see frustration. I think it's frustration because we're not meeting our own expectation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, I did something stupid, but I can't laugh at, or I slipped and fell. You know what I mean? I think in those circumstances, at least I can always, but maybe in my circumstance, I got pissed because I'm like, oh, that was dumb, dude. Like, you shouldn't have gotten caught in that. That shouldn't have happened, and then you're mad at yourself. But I completely agree. I have seen plenty of people storm off. It's like, hey, it's Sunday afternoon. We're in pajamas rolling around on mats. Like, how is this not absurd and comical to begin with?
Belt, man.
Yeah, like what? Stop taking it so seriously. Like,
Yeah.
easy. You're not going for like, who's number one in a $50,000 purse tomorrow. You're wrestling John, who's an accountant in his 40s, and he just happened to catch you with an arm bar. Calm down. That third one, when you speak your words are truthful and healing, that brought me to the 4 agreements.
Yeah.
You heard of those?
Yep, I read it. I love it. There's a 5th agreement now.
There is?
Yeah. You go and I'll pull it up.
Okay. And if you've listened to other podcasts, you've heard this, but the agreement 1, be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
That should be just everyone, not just, it shouldn't be men, but everyone.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why they're the 4 agreements for society. Don't take anything personally is number 2. Don't take most things personally. Agreement 3, don't make assumptions. And agreement 4, always do your best.
And then the 5th agreement, on just a quick Google search, is be skeptical but learn to listen, which boils down to it's having the ability to control yourself to avoid gossiping and don't comment on other people's ignorance or prejudices.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I like that breakdown of it, but
I feel like it's redundant for don't make assumptions.
Yeah, be skeptical, but I think be skeptical but learn to listen is good. But I think it's also still
don't make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions.
But yeah,
don't make assumptions. You should listen to every side. You can't listen to every side. Listen to both sides.
Well, I think if you listen to every side, you can find how it weasels its way into other sides that are potentially legitimate.
Yeah, I think if you,
I think QAnon has really found a good way of weaseling its way into a lot of different sub-parties.
What?
QAnon?
No, I know QAnon, but
I think that's a side you inherently shouldn't listen to because it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, okay.
But not listening to it will not let you see how it's gone into other areas.
I got you. The heck else were they going to say about that? I guess nothing, because I can't remember it. I know what I was saying. If you come across an argument that you don't, or a topic you don't agree with, anybody who's educated, or anybody who's truly knowledgeable, or anyone who is truly interested in the acquisition of knowledge should be able to, I think they call it steelman, the opposing viewpoint. You should be able to argue the opposing viewpoint.
Yeah.
No matter, because that's the only way you're truly going to understand where somebody else is coming from.
Right.
On any topic. Take the
Yeah,
side
if
you don't
can't
agree with
articulate yourself,
and try to articulate it and try to prove the opposing side's point. You don't have to do it verbally, but you should be able to do it in your head. That's the only way you're going to see where they're coming from.
okay,
Just saying, just only being able to verbalize your points.
So you're saying it in terms of if you can articulate their side, then you understand the points they're trying to make, whether or not,
And you truly understand the topic.
Yeah.
Because if you can argue the opposing side convincingly, then that means you can also argue your side more convincingly.
Yes. Agreed.
And I think that's something that we don't have nowadays in the world of social media and 3 minute clips.
Yeah.
You just see these little blurbs and you don't think of, well, what's the other side of it?
And it ends up with sensationalizing things.
Yep.
And going back to the term rape culture, it serves a purpose and a pretty functional purpose, but it's sensationalized because no one takes the time to really learn the other side of it. So you have people feeling under attack by what the term rape culture, but they're still agreeing with the points, but then they're not seeing that the points are in relation to this thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to have. And it comes back to just having compassion.
Yep.
Just understand where other people are coming from. If you just live your entire life in an echo chamber, you're going to just be so stunted.
Yeah.
You have to get other voices in there. You have to listen to other people, and you have to let them fully articulate. Because if you don't, you're just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're just no help to anybody.
Yeah.
You're just no help to anybody. So,
but I think that should be a point that we chalk up to what is being a strong man, and it's not just physical or emotional. It is intellectual. It is, you need to have the grit and the resilience to learn.
Yeah.
And improve. You need to learn how to articulate. You need to learn how to understand people you don't want to interact with. And you need to be able to argue yourself convincingly.
Yeah.
For the betterment of your community. Even in parts of the community you don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You should be compassionate. You should be emotionally available. You should be sensitive. You should be able to give a hand up. You should never punch down. You should be an emotional animal.
I love that, yeah.
And you should be able to be assertive. You should be able to be angry. You should just... Everything you do should be for the betterment of yourself, your family, and your community and your tribe. Not just yourself. If it only serves you, it doesn't serve anybody. Because you're only here for 75 to 100 years. Your community and your tribe is going to be...
If it only serves you, then it doesn't serve anybody. I think that's our show tagline.
That just came out of the top of my head. I'm sure it's been echoed somewhere else before. But the community and the tribe go on well past you.
Yeah.
So you have to do stuff that betters your legacy. That can be self-serving, but if you're bettering your legacy, that may trickle down to bettering the community at the very least. I mean, that should be the very least thing of what you're trying to do.
I think that's what a legacy is. It's something that carries on. That,
yeah. Yep.
A family is not going to carry a legacy of someone that.
No, but the family's
shit.
Yeah, true, 100%.
They're going to carry a legacy. They're going to have this ideal of the great grandfather, grandmother that did this amazing feat. What can we do to meet that level of
and keep it going?
Greatness. Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys, this has been episode 2 of Beautiful Barbarians. Hope you enjoyed it. We took some left turns, we took some right turns. I think we got there in the end. If you have any questions or topics for us, we are at beautifulbarbarians@yahoo.com. Email us.
Send us a DM at Beautiful Barbarians on Instagram.
Yep, Beautiful Barbarians Podcast on Instagram. I am at All Hail the Viking on Instagram. You can DM me too. And also, if you are out there and you are having a rough go, if you are in some deep, dark places, email the show. We'll try and help. If you feel like you have no one to talk to, we'll talk to you.
Absolutely.
We'll answer you back. We'll email you back. This is tough. This whole world's turning into a dumpster fire, and
you know what? Those emails you send us, I think we can find time to address some of those. Because I'm sure you're not the only one dealing with it. We could make
absolutely.
a point of carving out some time in our podcast for that.
Yeah. And if you want to be kept anonymous, make sure you put that up front in the email, not at the end. I cannot stress that enough. But hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on the email, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
You.
Hour and 25 minutes, bro.
Holy shit.
That was a good one.
That was bad.